flowers?
We've not.
Put it on them if you want to.
You can. We weren't going to do flowers, and I don't think there has been a donation organization mentioned. But if there is,
well,
we'll let you know.
Decide. Sure, we can talk about it back channel. Isn't that what you say, back channel?
Well, I move so we can put it in the minutes. I move that we send that we ask Gloria to contact Margaret and find out if there's a memorial that she would like us to send a memorial to.
Good. Okay.
Right.
Should I wait for the card then, or
Oh, and mention his name in the minutes.
Right. Well, the minutes, yes, that's why we've put it here. For sure, it'll go in these minutes of this meeting. I think, Diane, you should send the card right away. I believe
so.
in sending condolence cards straight. And if you can just put that street address,
3
Diane.
minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Put the street address in the chat, and then other people can send their own cards.
Oh,
And then I think we don't have to have a motion, Peggy. We'll just ask Gloria to
Okay.
find out
I
if
just wanted so that it's in the minutes
Mm-hmm.
or an archive that her husband was mentioned here.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Okay, that's 3.5 minutes. You're doing great, ladies.
Well,
Okay,
I think we can move on.
all right, so Cheryl sent the meeting minutes from November the 24th out, and does anybody have any revisions that they want to make to those minutes?
that was the R1 version. There was a few minor corrections that people pointed out, and I saw my own mistake in the next meeting date. I did that wrongly. So hopefully you've all had a chance to at least glance at them.
Good.
So if nobody has any further corrections, I would like that they be considered approved.
Okay, let's move on then. Hot topics. The first one is the Gaza-Israel war, recap on latest news and your efforts to bring about a ceasefire. Who wants to go first?
I will.
Odile?
Well, it's the same. There is still bombing and killing going on. And almost every day there is like 20 or 12 or some number of people being killed, either in tent or in hospital. And it's not changing. It's quieted down a little bit, but the conditions are dire. They have nothing to eat, no water. So the conditions are still worse. What's a new development I think we need to speak about is the war in Syria now. The war in Syria, but it seems like the king ran away.
President.
The president, oh sorry. It was kind of like a king, but anyway, the president ran away. So the rebels are taking over, and it seems like they negotiated with the president for something, but I couldn't find a document about it so far. And so it's hard to know what's going to happen. Israel seems to be very happy about the fact that, what's his name, Assad moved away. We don't know where he is actually.
We do. He's in Moscow.
Oh, he's in Moscow.
Right, because the Russians were backing him. So
yeah,
if you all read, I sent a disarm discussion about an hour ago.
Okay.
A lengthy BBC article with lots of details, lots of maps, who's in charge of which part of Syria, where is the
you are well in advance on us, and especially on me. I was in a Palestinian event selling embroidery. So I saw all my old friends there, and I went there with Alan. Then we have a friend that is sick, so we brought her some honey. And so we were a little late coming back. And anyway, that's what's happening.
And in the agenda, I gave you links to 2 articles. One from the well-esteemed organization Amnesty International.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, they have done an investigation and they say indeed genocide is going on in Gaza. And then an ex-Israeli defense minister, again, there's an article there I've linked you to in the agenda, who also says, he calls it ethnic cleansing is going on. And which is, you know, this is just an awful situation. And we see in today's paper that Biden is trying to get another $1 billion out to both Ukraine and Israel.
This guy is so disgusting.
Before he stops being president. So it says here, $1 billion in support for Ukraine, but it's also got some money in there for Gaza. So this is where you've got to have to do your normal writing to your Congress people, because they're the ones who, I believe, have to agree to it, right? The president says, I want this money, and then Congress has to agree to it.
Yeah.
So Alan, you've got your hand raised?
Yes, somebody sent me a beautiful little video. Yes, it's a genocide, showing a banner unfurled in London that was maybe 150 feet square, with that words on it, and a very short speech by a Jewish Israeli Holocaust scholar saying, this is genocide. I thought it was a very good statement about a very controversial word. I could send it to the, forward it to the committee. It was a pretty amazing banner that was unfurled. You can see the message from the satellites.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had to throw a stink bug out of my house.
Oh,
Who?
A stink bug.
yeah, we have them in Tucson. We have stink bugs too.
Okay, so shall we move on to Ukraine?
Yes.
Oh, I had just one thing
Oh, I'm
in
sorry.
response
Go ahead,
to
Peggy.
Alan's comment.
Go ahead.
Just that, may I speak?
Yes.
Just that Bernie had a letter today, saying that he was going to vote against the armament funding, and I think that's a signal turning point if there's any possible hope of any bipartisan position on ending the funding of constant war. And then I just really say that to put it in the record of our meeting.
Right, and you also sent it to Disarm,
Yeah.
and Ellen sent it to Disarm through The Guardian and what have you. So, and it was just any military spending, right? It wasn't
I can't
specific.
remember the letter, but anyway,
Okay.
he makes a strong statement and he lists a lot of where it's a good statement.
Mhm. Yeah.
Eileen, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not talking very well lately. I've got a good dose of laryngitis, which I haven't had in many years. I got it from my my temporary visitor friend. Well, all I wanted to share was that in the most recent autumn-winter edition of the Bruce Gagnon newspaper, there is
You
a
are
good
at 7 minutes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
there's a good article about Ukraine is losing. The only thing that can really save us is if the United States and also the NATO nations just say, yes, we are willing to talk about peace. Very, very clear. The article is well written, and I was looking for the man's name.
You can put it in the chat,
I
please.
will do that. Thank you. Good idea.
Okay, Robin.
Are we in Ukraine now?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm looking back at our minutes of last session where we talked about Bernie's resolution. I'm just bringing that up again, and especially Peggy, because I was not sure we got it right. Peggy, what state do you come from?
Georgia.
Georgia, okay.
I already corrected the minutes to make that clear, Robin.
All right, well, I wanted to be sure that that happened, but in the whole process of trying to figure out Peggy's state, I read the amazing biography of her on Wikipedia, and I just want everyone to know that Peggy's an incredible feminist.
Well, thank you. Whoever wrote that Wikipedia gave me a lot more credit than I deserve, but thank you.
Well, I'm sure a lot of it is justified, and it makes me think we should maybe start every meeting with maybe one person being able to talk a bit about their background and their history and their commitments, because I think a lot of people would like to know that you were one of the founders of which.
Of course. Well, Alan wrote Alan is one of the only people that ever read my book and wrote the blip for it. And I never knew him personally till I met Odell through WILF. So there we are.
Wow. Okay.
From kin to class.
Well, living in Georgia, you have your work set out for you.
Yeah. So the
Thank you,
next
Robin.
thing that we're going past diffuse nuclear war. We're going into the campaign report.
No, excuse me, we've not done 4B yet. We've not done Ukraine.
Oh, Ukraine.
We've not done the voting and
Oh, you're right.
Ellen,
Okay, why don't
Ellen
you
has
take
an
this one?
introduction. Yeah.
You take this over because you know what's going on this one.
Ellen's taking it. Ellen M.
Ellen Mass, will you do that? Will you do the honors here?
Yeah, yes. I'm to those. I'm going to just introduce this part of the program, the Ukraine report that was part of our last session, November 24th. We had there's a part in there about Ukraine, and we're following up because we had to postpone. So this is our follow-up. And I'm a life member of WILF. I'm from Cambridge, and my mother was a life member. And I'm introducing this statement tonight for the Ad Hoc Disarm Committee for this meeting to review. And the title of the statement that we've come up with is called Building Détente in Europe, a statement begun by Margot Schulter, who's here, and who will answer your inquiries if they arise. So we have responses for that. Now, I'm very honored I wrote this, so I hope it's okay to read it. I'm nervous, so I said I'll just read it. You know me now, and I hope you'll bear with a kind of a little formalized speech. But I'm very honored for the opportunity to work on such an important document about détente during this present dangerous, escalating Ukraine war. And this global threat that we're facing. The committee members are here tonight. So we have Margot Schulter, Peggy Dobbins, Joan Goddard, Alan Heyman. Am I saying it right? Alan Haber, Alan Haber, and Gloria McMillan. Gloria did an overview for us. So this was really a a labor of love that went on for 3 sessions in long periods, and we had some excellent suggestions and questions from Cheryl and Darian. So it was a very lively sessions, and we were appointed from the last meeting, so we stuck together and we had a pretty good time doing it.
And
there was-
you even had an earthquake.
And we learned a great deal from each other as we went along. Those of us who followed the war, especially in Ukraine, we were reminded by Margot's original work, some of which you've seen, of the former agreements made from Reagan and USA counterpart Mikhail Gorbachev, and of the idealism stated at the time calling for a common house of Europe. We were inspired by the St. Petersburg document from the summit of many Eurasian women in July of this year attended, including a number of WILPF participants. It was geared towards the buildup in the North Atlantic and the Baltic. The summit highlighted the role of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe that had brokered the Minsk agreements and had played an important role for European peacemaking in many conflicts. So we tried to stress that organization over NATO, which is highly aggressive, and it ferments and provokes rather than a peacemaking organization. So especially important to the group was to take the timely opportunity to send out a message of advisory type to the oncoming administration that stated it wanted to stop the wars. So WILPF's legacy is it strengthening women's rights through peacemaking, integral with feminist awareness, modeled by our great leaders, Jane Addams and Emily Greenballs, and many WILPF leaders and activists since. Thus, we felt confident to proceed with this advice that Margot had laid out for us for the new administration under the WILPF banner, and hope you all agree that it's a worthy effort for WILPF to provide this détente advice to remind of the good and bilateral agreements, but agreements also with the United Nations, because the 50th anniversary of OSCE is coming up in Helsinki in 2025, and the ad hoc committee feels this is a timely document to voice WILPF's wishes regarding peacemaking in Europe and the continuation of compromise and negotiations on the part of the United States. So it's a statement, and I hope everybody read it, because this introduction, if you haven't looked at the statement that Cheryl sent out, I think she sent it out twice. You should have gotten it before this meeting. So I hope it wasn't too formal. If you've read the document, then you understand it better. But if you have questions, I think it's best for Margot to speak up. She's the author and the origins of our week's work together. It's actually was 2 weeks from the last meeting till this one, and we met quite intensively.
Oh, we have there are 3 hands up, Ellen.
Yes, I see.
Okay.
So Diane is first, and then Rita, and then Judith.
Okay, Margot, do you want to pop in here? And
yes, I can. If I'm asked a question, I can respond. Thank you very much, Ellen.
Okay, we were told that this is non-changeable at this point, but I really would have liked to see reference to both the WILPF websites, because after you're talking about the international website, international WILPF, then you give the WILPF US website. I would have put the WILPF US website up top before, and then also put the WILPF website, because I think that would show that flowed better to me. But if it's unchangeable, so be it.
Oh, okay.
Fine.
Did we decide if it was unchangeable? Because I don't.
Well, it was, it's a question of what kind of changes are being asked for. If it's a simple change like that, I think that could probably be done. But we're not looking for anything in the thrust or the talking about OSCE or anything like that. That stands.
Everything else was great.
Yeah.
We have a minute left.
Yeah. So people thought it was okay. It wasn't too verbose or grandiose. It was okay.
You know, you cut it down quite a lot already, and it has interesting information in it that we want our incoming administration to understand. Because
So,
we don't have much trust in the experience of some of his cabinet members.
so do we want to extend some time? We have 4 people who have their hands raised.
Yes, I think we should extend this a little bit.
Okay, Rita, would you take what?
Sure. I thought it was a wonderful, very, very good report or statement. And just since I took Russian, something jumped out at me. I believe it was trust but verified was the phrase. Trust and verify, it would be E in the middle instead of no, if it was trust and verify. But it was, I remember the phrase anyway, trust but verified was the Russian phrase in the 1980s when they were talking about it. So anyway, that's all.
Okay, so Margot, you got that? We can change that.
I heard that. I've heard it interpreted both ways.
That's fine. It's a very small thing, but it was a wonderful statement.
Oh, that's good that you told us
Judith,
that.
would you?
Very interesting.
Yeah, my comment again is that I thought it was also a wonderful statement. I love the idea of détente in Europe. And what it reminded me of is what my project Enduring Peace is built around, which is the idea of peace systems, which is an anthropologist has described a number of peace systems, and they are reminiscent of this same idea. You could call this a peace system if put into practice. So I really related to it, thought it was a great statement. Kudos to you.
Okay, Eileen.
I also put in the chat that I thought it was wonderful. Loved it. I had one question because when I was researching the St. Petersburg Conference on Peace, Nature, and Cooperation in Wiki, I thought it said it was in September, not October 23rd. Just double check that. It could be
October 23rd is the date of the statement.
Came out.
Yeah, they delayed it. It was in July 21st.
Fine. I just got a little confused and I wanted you to be perfectly correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Robin.
Yes, just a small detail, but I think it could be important that we talk with international, maybe you have done this and I've just missed that detail, but confer with them sort of before putting it out to everyone, because there are sisters, we're talking about Europe, they're in Europe. I just feel we need to reach out to them before putting it out to the world, just as a courtesy, so to speak.
Does anyone object to what Robin just said?
Yeah, I think it slows us up.
Yeah.
We've made it clear that this is a WILPF US statement and it's an advisory statement. We're advising the US government mostly.
Yeah.
So they've rushed. I've spent hours, trying to help them, and we want to get it out there.
Okay, my suggestion is it could be just let them know that we're doing this, not asking them, but just telling them, I mean, they're our sisters, come on.
course.
To whom would you send this, Robin?
I
Which
guess
person?
the international,
President
yeah,
or the Secretariat? Which one? Or both?
I don't know.
We're 4 minutes past the allotted time.
Yeah, well, that can be talked about
Later.
later. Okay.
Right. I would like to know, we have a Matthew who's joined us. I would like to know who the Matthew is who's joined us. It's not a name I recognize.
Hello, my name is Matthew Gaverick, and I am a recent WILF member in Boston. I've been recently helping out with Michael and the website committee.
Yes, Matthew's wonderful.
Thank you. And I see Michael Ippolito also just joined us. What's your last name, Matthew? What's your last name again?
It's Gaverick.
How do you spell that?
Gotcha. Gabrick.
Gabrick.
Would you like to get notices of the meetings, Matthew?
Yeah, that'd be great. I was
Okay,
just
I'll
speaking
add-
with Michael, and he mentioned the call, so
Yeah.
I have some time.
Put
so I
your,
thought I'd
put
hop
your
on.
information in the chat and I'll get you signed up for the disarm list.
Right. So we do need to take a vote now of the people who are here who are already on the committee, that we agree that this should be put on the WILPF US website, that it should be sent to various people within the incoming Trump administration, and then I will make sure it gets to all our sister peace organizations. So I suppose what we could ask for is anybody against that? Okay, I don't see.
Well done, well done.
Well done, yeah, right.
So we will try in the next day or two to move forward on this. Thank you very much, the ad hoc committee. Yes.
Yes.
If anyone thinks that this could be very useful for a place they want us to send this out to, should one of us be in charge, or can we send that to you, Cheryl, to have it sent out to, like I will be, or Nancy Price could even send it to the Global Women United. They're some of the ones who have the OSCE people in there, and the St. Petersburg, and
Yeah. Why don't we ask people to send them to both you and me? And Peggy's already created quite a long list. Many of them are Twitter handles, which is why we have to get it posted, because we have to talk about it in a 280 word character.
Yeah, that was brilliant that we do it this way. Gloria, however, found an email address for the guy that I think, if anybody might actually read it and do anything. His name is Fred Fleece, and he's the co-author with Kellogg, who is the one Trump named as his envoy. So we're on the case. I'm thrilled and proud to have been part of this.
Thank you. I just want to count how many people are here. I think there are 14.
Well, 15.
Matthew wasn't a member before the meeting, so 14 unanimous. Okay.
Actually,
I want to go on record as thanking
There are
Margot and
16,
Ellen for this effort. Can we put that in the minutes?
Yes.
We are getting way off schedule, ladies.
All right, I'm shutting up.
Cheryl,
Peggy.
may I say this, that there are 16 people.
Right, but Matthew is not a member of the committee, and it's only members of the committee who could vote. So who's the, okay, a moment ago it was 14. All right, so it's 15 voted yes. It was unanimous.
Let's move on.
Thank you.
All right, campaign reports. The third meeting of the state's parties to the TPNW will be at the UN first week of March. And Cheryl has been helping to make arrangements for the WILPF delegation. And Cheryl, maybe you could report on this, please.
Yes, so we got 10 people in all who said they wanted to go, but in the meantime, 2 of them have dropped out, and Ellen Thomas is wavering. Judith Hand plus 2 of her the WILF members in San Diego are still going to go. So Eileen and Odile, who are 2 of the other people, I really need you to think about which days you want to be there, because we're hoping to rent a place to accommodate several of us. So Eileen and Odile, I'm just pleading with you to
It's
look at
from
my
the
doodle.
3 to the 7 of March, so
Yeah.
should we be there all those days?
Yeah. No, we have to get there a day early
Actually, you should get there on the 1st.
because there's a meeting for campaigners on the Sunday. So please, Odile and Eileen, look at my emails. We don't have to bother everybody else with all the details.
Okay.
Peggy has her hand raised.
Well, just real quickly, I don't think we have a chance of doing it, but Atlanta has really talked about and would love to raise money to make as a project. One of our first project here is sending 2 young women who have stepped forward. I don't think we have a chance of getting that done
Too
this year.
late.
Does it happen every year?
It's about every other year, and
Every other year.
there's a timeline where you have to submit names.
Okay.
Deadline was last Friday.
I don't want to take more time with this.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but so it's a bit awkward because we want to get into the UN building, and just along the other McGregor sends her regrets. She can't be here. She's been at a in-person anti-Gaza war rally, but she wants to remind us that her estimation, the next ICBM test launch from Vandenberg will be in February. So just everybody, if you're thinking you might go to Vandenberg, she didn't say when in February, and that's a guess on her part, but anyway, she wanted you all to have that in mind. Thank you. I see Michael's hand.
Michael?
Yeah, can you, I just wanted to ask a clarifying question, and hello all. So what you said that was the deadline was past Friday, for some young Wilfer woman to be able to go to, I didn't quite catch the whole thing. Do they accept potentially, if there was somebody, a late application for a woman?
So we are bound by WILF International processes, who are bound by ICANN processes. We were given last Friday the deadline. I mentioned this in emails, and I believe I mentioned it at the last Disarm meeting, that we have to get names in. And so other people were able to tell me they had these other names. It's quite difficult to add people. So and if it's a question of raising money, I don't know if you have time to raise money. So
it's not raising money. If there was
The
somebody
time
who'd be
for
interested.
TPNW is up.
Yeah.
All
right. So it is, yeah, you're bound by rules and regulations, which we are trying to follow.
Okay. All right. I just, so we passed it. The window's closed. Got it. Well, thank you. I yield.
Okay,
just wanna,
so moving on,
can I just say something real quick?
yeah,
I'm
Eileen, yes, okay.
very disappointed that McGregor's not here, because I read also in Space Alert, the Bruce Gagnon thing from Maine about Vandenberg is a takeoff. It has been for over a year, if not 2, for his low satellites.
Yeah.
And I don't remember her saying that. And this is quite upsetting because of all the debris that's going to be coming down and already starting to come down. I just wanted to, I don't remember her saying that. Thank you.
No, we haven't. In fact, Musk's SpaceX rockets are much bigger than the ICBM rockets, and they actually make a lot more noise and a lot more earth shaking than the ICBMs.
And that therefore more environmentally damaging. And there's some effort to stop some of this on the environmental issue. Thank you.
Ellen?
This was mentioned the last meeting, and Kate Hudson is making a big global effort to get people there. You all know who Kate Hudson is, the British anti-war peace
Get
activist.
people where?
Get people where?
The Vandenberg. They're having a huge festival. They have tents for people to stay.
No, I think you're confused. You're confused, Ellen. I believe it's Lakenheath in England.
Lakenheath.
Okay, I guess I have it confused. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know when she's doing that. It's a similar issue.
April.
Lakenheath is also
It's in the minutes.
24.
center.
Yeah.
So it's something else, but it's global.
All right. So the next item is reports on actions within our various coalitions, and watch the December 10th, that's this Tuesday, Nobel Peace Prize ceremony live streamed, and there's a link in there. Also, they're on the 10th of December at I forget.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. We're having with the Hiroshima Nagasaki Peace Committee, and we're having a celebration of the Peace Prize on Zoom, and I will put the link for that and information for that into the chat. I've posted it to the discussion list, and I think
it's in the agenda.
Yeah.
The registration link is in the agenda at the top of the second page of the agenda. If you want to register to join that celebration.
Will it be videotaped? Because our group is going to be on a webinar about sanctions.
No.
Yeah, it's going to be recorded, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be on Zoom, so. Yeah. So I will put that in the chat once I have a minute to do that. Then the report on the Peace in Ukraine Coalition meeting on December 4th, you want to go for that, Cheryl?
No, there's a bit more. I see Michael's hand is up, and there's a little bit more about the MAPA meeting on the January the 25th.
All right, go ahead with it. You put this together. You go ahead with this part.
Yeah, so every year in January, MAPA, the Massachusetts chapter of Peace Action, which is actually an enormous, they have more people on their mailing list than WILPF National does. They are having their virtual conference, and it's called Reducing Congressional Spending on Nuclear Weapons. And I was asked, because Representative Garamendi of Davis, California, is the head of the working group on nuclear weapons and the spending on nuclear weapons in Congress. They wanted him to speak at this online conference all day. And I believed that Nancy Price was his constituent, and she believed she was his constituent until she discovered that the damn district lines had been changed. So nevertheless, she wrote to him at our behest and asked him to please join this conference virtually. So, but you all will be invited to this conference. So if you want to write down January the 25th between 2 and 5 o'clock Eastern time, and I will be sending out more information, but it is, there'll be a lot of experts on, how can we reduce the military spending specifically on nuclear weapons for that meeting. So please take a note of that in your diaries. Michael, have you a question on this topic?
No, I just I had just a quick kind of announcement dovetailing what Ellen was just saying. Everyone probably doesn't know this, but WILF now has a Blue Sky account. And the very first post ever done on the Blue Sky account was actually echoing and sharing Ellen's post, inviting and encouraging people to come to the event on December 10th that WILF's hosting for the Nobel Peace Prize. So that was actually the very first inaugural post on Blue Sky. Just a quick announcement. Yep.
Can you give us our handle? How do we find it?
It's just WILF US, just like Twitter. It's Blue Sky, just like Twitter. And we're just WILF US on Blue Sky. If you don't have one, get on Blue Sky right now. There's like no right-wing crazy people. It's all like just peace, love, happiness, and everybody's lovey on Blue Sky. Like the crazy people haven't got on yet. The MAGA folk and everybody. Anyway.
Thank you for telling us that.
You're very welcome. So jump on. Many blessings. Thank you. Peace, power.
Okay. Next is interacting with the media. Rethink media workshops for improving our local media coverage.
No, now you've skipped you've skipped.
You take over. You take over, please. Okay.
It's the report on a Peace in Ukraine coalition. Okay. So this is a coalition we've been a member of since.
Where are we? What number?
We're still at 5(3). 5(3). There are several sections to that, that agenda.
Oh, we're still there. Oh, okay.
So Peace in Ukraine is a largish coalition that we've been a member of since March 2022. And we've been a bit silent for some months because everybody was concentrating on the Gaza-Israel war. But seeing these new missiles that we're sending and cluster bombs and landmines, we've decided we need to make a new effort to talk to our congressional members about not agreeing to send these new arms to Ukraine, and how important it is that we not allow anything to escalate. Okay, and so I will be sending to you by the Disarm discussion listserv a sample letter, a sample script that you can speak to your congressional members about. Okay, to tell them, please don't agree to this extra money, extra stuff going to Ukraine. As I told you earlier in this meeting, Biden is trying to push through a whole bunch of money, $1 billion worth of stuff to Ukraine and Israel. And we've got to do our damnedest to get that stopped, at least so they know we want it stopped. So that's what I'm going to say about the peace in Ukraine. Thank you.
Is that coming on the discussion list?
That will come on the discussion list. Yes, you should most of you should be on both lists, the committee list and the discussion list.
Okay.
So you want to go to the next item is the media, and Gloria will have something to say after me. But first of all, I just wanted to say I did go to the Rethink Media workshop. I told you about it last time. I asked people to try to go. I can't remember if any of you were there, but it was very excellent explanations of how to interact with the media in your local newspapers. So on the 28th of January, the doomsday clock will be set or reset, okay, by the Union of Concern, the Atomic Bulletin of the Scientists. And that is a big deal that major media actually pay attention to it, and it will be announced. And
what day is that?
The 28th of January, 2025. So the idea is to try to use that fact to bring the attention of your local newspapers to this fact, because it's all connected with the awfulness of nuclear weapons and climate change. So they've added that additional problem to how they decide how they set the doomsday clock. Okay. And I learnt a lot about what it is to be newsworthy. And of course, I put my notes somewhere. Now I can't find them. So anyway, there are apparently, and many of you may know this, but there are 8 different characteristics that you need in order for your local newspaper to think you have a newsworthy thing to say. And here we go. So just let me tell you, these are the things you should make sure your article that you're going to try to get your local newspaper to talk about the doomsday clock setting is immediacy, proximity, celebrity, conflict, impact, emotion, currency, novelty, and anniversary. So those are some nouns and some adjectives. You should try to get as many of those things into your article that you're going to try to get to be published in your local newspaper.
Read them again.
Immediacy, proximity, celebrity, conflict, impact, emotion, currency, novelty, and anniversary. So in this case, you've got the anniversary of the setting of the clock, for example. So as many of those types of things you can get into your letter to the editor or your op-ed, the more likely it is that your local newspaper will publish it. And of course, you have to pay attention to their word limits. So there are actually 2 more workshops going to go on, which I'm going to attend. And if you looked at the chat for the last meeting, I gave you the registration. You can still register for the next 2.
Would it be on the website of Rethink Media? Would that be an easy place?
It's more likely to be on the Atomic Scientist Bulletin. I will try and find it and put it in today's chat before the end of this meeting. Thank you. So Gloria will now talk about other things to do with the media. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me know if you're seeing this.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, one of the things that we need, I think very much so, is not to be always doing starts and stops on our attention to media. That fits in with what Cheryl said. But to have at least, it would be better if it were more than one person, but have kind of a media team and maybe have a reminder box like this go out with every protest announcement. This is just a draft. Nobody has to vote on it, yes or no or anything. But it would be something like this to remind us that we need to be getting reporters. It isn't just showing up or counting on other groups to do it for us. We're perfectly capable of doing it. But it does take some concerted effort and persistence over time. Because when you think about it, if you're just trying to contact reporters, it takes you a couple hours to find a couple reporters. So, it is time consuming. That's one of my items. The other one, and, be thinking about that. This is something I'll be bringing up again and again. The other thing is our Arizona public media is very close, shall I put it, with Raytheon. In fact, Raytheon's offices are right above their new studio. So they're in the same building. And we have one Raytheon missile retiree on the community advisory board. And I'm also trying to get on their community advisory board. I'll get rid of this because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm trying to also get on their community advisory board, but the problem is they have a very complicated algorithm and it's demographic. And I was looking right at him, the head of the whole station, because he knows how hard I've been trying. And he said, well, it's blah, 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 So to me, that said, it's a little Kafka-esque and it's like a lottery. So then you go into plan B. This is if you have this happen to you with obfuscation, or just whatever, at your PBS. So you find who's the community outreach person. Ours is Joyce Fleischman, I think is her name. And she said she would go to lunch with me, and I'm going to make a pitch to her that our peace concerns are not being met by that particular media group that's run out of our university. Okay, and the third item, and I'll be done, is we just had our Peace Toys demonstration at Walmart. And because I already have a relationship with Amanda Schauger at the community radio, that's KXCI, due to having Hideko's interview with Amanda, I sent her the photos from our demonstration, and I said, we're always happy to have interviews about these things, and, you know, just staying in touch. Think of reporters as people with names, and if you can think of a reason to stay in touch, they might actually do it. They're much more likely than PBS. So in our town, that's pretty much it. And you can go on to the next, whatever.
Okay.
Oh, unless there's
Schedule.
questions. Yeah.
Question,
Just
yeah. For one thing, here in Vermont or in Burlington, they're pleading for people to be on the committee. And I've sat in a few times. So we have other states may have different setups. Secondly, what was my second point? That I don't watch enough PBS to know what I should be upset about or asking for. And I wonder, Gloria, if you monitor PBS more carefully and you can send us pointers to what we can bring up to our various committees.
Sure. And there's word searches you can do, because, you know, they kind of count on that. Who's going to watch 24 hours, you know, a day? But you can do word search collocation pairs where you can see the title search words that, or things that you saw that came out at the national, and then put it with your station call letters. And if it doesn't show up, they didn't show it. And then you could say, I see that you did not air this very important whatever that came out from produced at the, you know, headquarters of PBS.
Okay, the media section is now 1.5 minutes over time.
Well, I'm done.
I think Robin's asked a good question. So what Gloria is saying, I believe this is as I understand it, PBS, which is a big national organization, creates a lot of documentaries and programs on a wide variety of topics. And occasionally they'll do things that are related to peace or weapons or war, okay? And they'll put it, they make it available to their local stations. Some local stations are better than others at showing those documentaries, I'll call them, that the PBS has made, okay? So what she's saying is, she's noted that in Arizona, their PBS local affiliate isn't very good at showing those documentaries that have been made by the national PBS, or the national PBS buys them. You know, BBC makes them, the German TV stations make them. And so what you've got to do is you've got to judge somehow whether your station is actually showing these documentaries.
And word searching does it, Cheryl. You can just word search the title and the call letters of your station. And if there's no hit, that didn't show that.
First of all, you have to go to pbs.org. You have to ask to look at all the videos they have available.
No,
Okay,
first of
you have
all,
to
yeah.
scan through them and say, this sounds interesting, you know, and then you find its title, and then you can go to your own local affiliate's website and say, find me this title, and it'll tell you when that was shown or if it will be shown. Okay, because my station, KQED in the Bay Area, is pretty good. It's not long after that they're made available that KQED will show them. Now, sometimes they show them at 11 o'clock at night. You know, some people are still up. So if you want to make a complaint, you can complain about the time of day that something was shown, because so many people are in bed by 11 o'clock at night. Okay, so those are the, so has everybody now understood this technique?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Right,
this
okay.
way.
Ellen, you have your hand raised.
I wish I had that T-shirt that Gloria just showed, because this Sunday I go to Raytheon every third Sunday. We're there, and I go with the Quakers, and they have 2 signs that say "Pray for Peace," but it doesn't even say anything about Raytheon. But I just think that even we could maybe get the Boston Will people to pay attention to the fact that it's every third Sunday, and that it's we do have a huge facility here that needs attention, the Raytheon attention. They've gone bonkers with their nuclear planning now.
We are 4 minutes past our deadline for media stuff.
Okay, I was just going to say, I hope that everyone has a WILF banner of some sort that you can bring to different things when you go there.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you're next, Judith.
Yeah, we've exceeded the time on several things, so I won't report on promoting peace via treaties this week, maybe next time. Let's go ahead on to collaboration with WILF sections in Africa. That's okay.
Sure, Robin?
Yeah, actually.
Judith, you want to wait until January?
Sure. It's not urgent what's being done. I'm just bringing things, updating what we're doing. And
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
And there's not much to report on what WILF has been doing, US WILF has been doing in Africa, as far as I know. I'm sorry to say.
Well, maybe I will take that time and update on what we're doing at Project
Good.
Enduring Peace. It won't take me 3 minutes. If is that agreeable?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The project is called Project Enduring Peace. It's a very long-term project because our goal is to get the leaders of the world who could do so to put together again a negotiation to get a global peace treaty, international peace treaty to stop wars. That would free up a lot of money and resources and things that can be done if we weren't doing international warfare. So to do that, our project is to contact regularly heads of state, heads of government, and all of the UN ambassadors. Those are the people who can kick that sort of thing into gear. We want to contact them regularly, telling them that we're here, we're not going away, that they can find our peace treaty petition. We have a petition that we want to get 100,000 signatures on as soon as possible, ASAP, from people around the world. And that's what we're promoting right now, getting people to go to that petition page and sign it. Doing that is turning out to be very difficult because we need volunteers to be trackers. We have to have enough volunteers to track the heads of state, the heads of government, and the ambassadors, should they respond to our emails. And I'm having a hard time rounding up enough people. So it's a little, but that's it. Getting enough volunteers to do anything, you have to be patient and just keep one step at a time. So that's where we are right now, setting that up with MailChimp and MailMerge. That's it.
Cheryl has her hand raised, but then we'll have Odile speak on MAPA or a weapons-free zone. But Cheryl, go ahead.
Yeah, so how successful are you at finding the emails to send to? This is always a difficulty, is so many people keep hidden the emails of their ambassadors or their presidents. So
Yes.
you've got people working on that, Judith.
Well, we got people starting to work on that. It's very hard. Diane is already doing that for Founding Mothers Movement, but she is also working with us, and she has found out a page on the internet that lists the ambassadors and their email contact, the ambassadors. But the ones to find for the heads of state and the heads of government like presidents and chancellors and so on. Those are harder to find. Many of them will not give you an email. They will give you instead a contact list on their website, a contact form that you can fill out, and that's going to be labor intensive because it can't be a mail that just goes out, customized mail. No, somebody who's in tracking that group of states is going to have to go in and type it, of course, and type it in. Of course, we will provide the form letter or form whatever it is we want to say that time to them to paste in, but they will have to do it by hand rather than just having it automated. And it's harder to get those. We're not going to get them all, but we have to do the best we can to get as many as we can.
Right, so sounds like you could do with some more volunteers from this committee, for example, to help you with some of those typing in messages.
No, it's not the typing in part. It's that we need right now. It is to go search for the email or contact information, searching for data. We're crafting right now the Excel spreadsheet to put the data into. You have to create a very formal Excel spreadsheet that is compatible with mail merge. And that's tricky. You got to figure out how to do it. If we had money, we would pay a professional to do this, but we don't have money yet. We're just at the beginning, and we can get donations as we make progress. We have to make some progress before we can get very many donations.
But if it sounds like to somebody here at this meeting, sounds like the kind of work they would like to do, I'm sure you'd accept them as a volunteer.
Absolutely.
So why don't you put your email address in the chat?
Right now in the chat. I'll put my email address in the chat right now. Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah, that would be great to get some volunteers. And it's kind of interesting to do the research too. Okay, so Odile, why don't you take it away with...
Did Odile ask to, I said this wasn't going to be discussed this time.
Oh, well, I have a few things to say.
If you have things to say, say them.
It was in November, and it was chaired by His Excellency Sidi Mohamed Lagdad, Permanent Representative of Mauritania at the UN. Now, I looked everywhere for document of what happened, and even on Unidir, I found that they created some digital tool for a weapon of mass destruction free zone in the Middle East, and they have a document depository, and you can find all the document of 2023, but they have absolutely no document whatsoever about 2024. It just happened, and I guess I will have to call Jackie Cabasso again. She is able to attend, but WILPF, I was going to write a letter and push myself through, but I didn't do that. So I didn't go, and maybe
I think it's too soon, Odile. It's too soon. The UN doesn't move that fast. If the meeting
but
was
maybe
only...
Jackie Cabasso went, and maybe I can get some report from her. That's what I did last year, and I wrote a report in the Peace and Freedom of last year.
But I would not expect it within 2 or 3 months to actually appear on some website.
Okay.
But you can ask Jackie anyway, yes.
Yes, that's the best. And also Jackie's friend, John from the lawyer, says that he would put me on his list because WILPF is not accredited. But because I was just coming back in October, I guess it was too soon for me to get that ready. So maybe next year I will be ready to go and pushing way ahead of time. Like you say, you have to do those things way ahead of time. But anyways, I found out that they have those digital tools, Unidir, and a document depository. So if you want to go and look at it, you can. It's on, I can send a link later.
Okay, so I think we're up to Ellen Thomas talking about the fall ANA. Ellen?
Yes, I went to Atlanta this past week, and was it was the fall meeting of Alliance for Nuclear Accountability. I hadn't been part of it for quite a while, and because of various things, and it was really good to get back together with these folks that I'd been working with for years, since 1999. These were this was a group that was supported by Carol Erner strongly, and that's kind of where we hooked up, I think. And it started with people who were living on the outskirts of nuclear weapons facilities, working to stop both the nuclear weapons and get things cleaned up. And they've been doing DC days in the spring every year since 1981. And it's a wonderful learning experience. They always bring young people that are quite brilliant usually. And so one interesting thing that happened was that they put me on their board.
Good.
Which was kind of an intense welcome back kind of thing. So, and that's representing WILPF US Disarm Committee, because that's how we're signed up with ANA. So I will be reporting to you things that are happening. Pam Richard is also on the board. And Ellen Barfield was there in person. And Regina was, Regina, was it Sneed? Regina Sneed, is that the name? Yeah, she was there remotely, asking good questions and making good comments. So, and so was Pam, she was remote. So it was a really good experience. They give you reports on what's going on the green pod and the peace pod, which are pretty, they explain themselves. They have meetings of the green pod and the peace pod every month that, as members of WILPF Disarm, you're welcome to join them. And I can send the link to the discussion list, or I guess to the committee list. Next time I get a link, I'll send it off to the committee list for members of WILPF, because the discussion list doesn't necessarily have to be members of WILPF. Okay, that's the end of my report.
Question.
Yes.
Robin here. I tried to listen to the audio, to the tape, and had a difficult time with the audio. And I'm not
It gets better later on.
Oh, okay. I think in past times you've sometimes indicated, this is a good part, or so-and-so speaks at this time.
I haven't had a chance to do that. I just got those up, finished getting those up today.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah, it was difficult because my camera, I forgot my charging cord. So I decided to record it on my laptop. And I didn't have as much control over it. So I just had it aimed at the front, and people were talking from all over the room. So the sound isn't all that great. I think it's better, it's okay for somebody was taking notes to be able to catch up on them, but it was not the best recording that I ever did, that's for sure.
Okay, McGregor's joined, but she can't speak. So Peggy, go ahead and ask your question.
I just wondered if Ellen went on the Savannah River.
I did.
Can you talk about it just a little bit? Because I don't know. I haven't been, and I'm not really fit enough to do those things anymore. So I'd really like to hear.
Well, you don't have to be fit to do it, because you ride around in a van, And there's this fellow telling you kind of telling you what you're looking at and a little bit of history along the way and selling how great Savannah Riverside is. And of course he had a van full of people who were correcting him on things, but he handled it very well. He didn't do it too many times, but there was a fair amount of joking going on.
So you're saying that was like a government-sponsored tour that you could take?
Yeah, they only give it occasionally and you have to register for it, and they probably do, checks on you before you do it, sort of like the UN does.
Yeah. Thank you.
But you were able to tell him more
No,
about
we couldn't take
ways.
any pictures, couldn't take any videos, couldn't record any sound. It was just riding around in a van, looking at different things.
And you're not allowed to
out every
take any
once in a
pictures.
while and going into a building so that you could go to the bathroom. Or the most odd thing that was they took us to the environmental center where they had animals there, and they were showing us the snakes and the toads and the thises and the that's that they kept in cages, and trying to show that they were okay. They didn't mention anything about any mutations or anything, but
We are a minute past the time for
okay. That's
this
enough for me.
Okay.
Okay, so the next item is Alan and Judith this is the 12th campaign in the whole war system. Go ahead, Alan.
Okay, well, I'm very aligned with Judith's long-term effort that we need a treaty, the United Nations, to actually put on the agenda a process toward a treaty that includes all the elements that people have been thinking of. My approach has been responsive to the emergency. People say that we are on the verge of nuclear war. What is an emergency action? So I was proposing that we ask all the war makers, the actual people give the orders to stop or not stop the shooting, to stop and pause and listen to the peacemakers for what would be a shift from the war system to the peace system, very much in the view that it is a system problem as well as its particular manifestations. And it has not gotten as far as I would like, of course. And maybe the nuclear war is postponed a little bit, I hope. The two things I'm working on, well, who actually are the war makers? The same question Judith has. How do you reach the heads of the people who give the orders, the heads of state, of the commanders of the various military forces, with some view to identify what are the group of 20 or 30 people who actually are those who are giving the commands to maintain these 12 wars that are going on around the world. So personalize the war makers in the same way we begin to identify ourselves as the peacemakers. And the other element is asking the people who've been studying all these questions, what really are the elements of the peace demand? Power concedes nothing without the demand, but we're very fragmented as to what is the peace demand. That Judith says, well, we're going to work that out in the evolution of a treaty, but there are a lot of elements of what that treaty is about that we talk about in a disconnected way that we should put together. And this is the peace demand of what is necessary if we're going to move from the war system to the peace system and convert the economy from the production of death and destruction to the production of sustainability and goodwill and necessities for human beings. That has not gotten too far either. And I was led to, in the particulars of my life, to explore where I've come to some of these ideas. And I wrote something that I shared with some people with some enthusiastic response, and I will share that with others, and otherwise just continue. Hope that Judith and I will find a more useful conversation. The person, Ginger Harris in Boston, we had some conversation, but she is busy and has not picked up something that has been in the action mode. So that's about my report. I persist, and I assume that Judith and I will converge. Who are the war makers? That's the question. What's their email or their way to reach to identify them as a group? And what is the peace demand? So that's a long-term WILPF question as well. Anyhow, that's my bit of a report.
Right on time.
Except we have Cheryl with her hand raised.
Right.
So go
No,
ahead.
a question for you, Alan. So you're trying to find out who are the actual military commanders, the actual people who are like leading Stratcom or AFRICOM or all those comms. Are those the ones you're after? And are you looking outside the US or are you only looking at the US?
No, I'm looking, well, it's right now, it's Joe Biden is the commander-in-chief in the United States, and it'll soon be Donald John Trump. And we know who it is in Israel and in Russia and pretty much in Ukraine. And Somalia, I'm not so clear. I'm looking for the formal heads of the military in these war zones. And also in Myanmar, there is the military junta, but there are also insurgencies all around the country that are trying to defend themselves or establish their independence. So I'm looking at where all the hot spots are, and
but is it not true that, I mean, Biden isn't actually telling Battalion X or that warship to go to the Taiwan Straits? There are people below him that are doing those commanding. Okay, so you don't think they would be a good set of people to ask to consider what they're doing?
Yes, my limited view just looked at who is the commander-in-chief, who say who are all the subordinates. And I was very pleased in the work on the détente resolutions advice statement that people brought out who are the people in the Trump administration who are playing key roles in the actual implementation of policy. I think that's information that we should really have and part of the resource of the organization as a whole. And very good what was done about the coming Trump administration, and we should know that in other administrations as well, if we can actually establish lines of communication.
So it's like the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State, and the equivalent positions in other countries' cabinets that you need to get to, right?
That would be a strong position, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're not just you talked about Myanmar
3
and
minutes past the amount of time for this subject.
All right, fine. Just yeah, please keep doing that. I personally don't have time to help you on that. If anybody else wants to help Alan work out who the Secretary of Defense is or the equivalent in these other countries, please, Alan, will you put your email address in the chat so people can contact you directly if they want to help with your program here? I actually, if you looked at the times that I put in the my suggested times, if we'd actually done it, we would have been finished in less than an hour, which I know we never were. So actually we're actually only at an hour and a half at the moment, which if we can finish shortly will be a miracle.
Yes,
Okay,
that'd be a big improvement.
okay, so the next thing is Ellen with the current balance as treasurer.
No change in the last.
No
No, there is a change. I
There-
donated $100 to WILPF US, and I asked it to be put toward Disarm.
Yeah, but it takes time for that to
Yeah.
get.
Okay.
through, so, but
Thank
good.
you. I did send you all a reminder that the Development Committee asked issue committee chairs to look for that pale yellow envelope that you would have got. It's probably 3 weeks ago now. And they had suggested $110 donation in honor of our upcoming 110th anniversary of WILF overall. But you can do what Odile has done. I've done it in the past. You can tell them, you can tell the Chris Wilbeck who gets the checks to put this in the disarm bucket. Okay, so if you haven't,
you just put for disarm committee on the check itself.
on the check.
Well, the problem is I did it online.
If you did it
So
online,
it doesn't have a place to do it, but I wrote to Chris Wilbeck to do that.
Okay, great idea. Thank you. Peggy.
That was my question. If you do a 501c3 donation, can you do that online, and can you specify disarm?
You have to do that through the Peace Development Fund.
And that's separate. You can't do that online.
Right.
No.
You have to do it by check, and then you can, when you send it to them, first of all, you have to tell them it's for WILF US.
Okay.
Then you
but
can
you have
say,
to do that by check.
Yes. Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
It's not part, yeah. You
Okay,
can go
got
to the
you.
donate section and maybe there was some explanation there. But if you
All right.
want to make it tax deductible, it has to go through our tax umbrella organization, which is called the Peace Development Fund, PD.
I had seen that, but I just didn't. Okay.
And they're actually in two places. San Francisco is one of their offices. But anyway, if everybody's, looking for your end of the year donations that you can make, please think about WILF US.
They
Indeed.
said $110 because it's our anniversary of 110 years.
Yeah.
It's nice.
But anything anybody can afford is welcome.
Of course. Okay, so the Carol is not here about the.
But she's given me some information to tell you.
Okay. Oh, but first we were going to say the next meeting is in January, the 12th of January, because we're skipping. Okay, go ahead with Carol.
Carol made an application to the mini grant committee from the Fresno branch. Actually, they made it for $2,500, which is to set up podcasts coming out of Fresno, out of their branch in Fresno, California, directed towards young people about a variety of topics that they should be worried about, including disarmament. And so they didn't get the whole amount of money. They got $1,600 from WILF mini grant, and then her branch is adding $300. So she's actually buying the equipment, the fancy equipment, the microphones and what have you, to be able to create these podcasts. And so that's what I wanted you to know. And then she'll be making so many in the future. But I think that's marvelous that they had this idea, and she's willing to spend time learning how to use the equipment, high quality microphones and stuff like that.
Her name is Carol Colburn, and she is going to be the host. Has she
Yes.
ever done that before? That's interesting.
I'm not sure, but she's willing to learn. She is a member of this committee, but it seems like she has another thing she has to do about this time on Sunday evenings. So anyway, so her spelling of her name is in the both in the agenda and now it's in the chat. Fresno is one of our quite active branches. And so I think she'll be getting help from the Fresno branch members. And I'm sure we'll hear about it when there's a podcast to listen to. Hopefully they will be working on, advertising them, because you can sit and talk to a microphone, but if there are people not out there ready to listen, that's no good. But we should be helping. I'm sure that WILPF US will help her get this stuff advertised in the future. Yes, Robin.
Yeah,
Our 2 minutes are up for that.
Well, let Robin speak.
Okay. Yeah, I just have 2 points. One is I hope everyone gets this magazine, Space Alert. It just came to me, and it's by Bruce Gagnon. Many of you know Bruce Gagnon, a long-time anti-nuclear activist living in Maine, so he's not far from me. And one question for everyone here, what contacts do you have with International WILPF? Do you know a person in International WILPF? Do you contact them? I mean, I guess so. That's my question. Do we have an official connect person with our Geneva office?
Well, I go to a deal of effort to attend their all WILPF meetings that they have, sometimes at difficult times of the day for me because they're coming out of Geneva. So yes, there are several women in there whose names I can't tell you right now, but I get emails from them. So you should be able, if you've not signed up for the thing called My WILPF, MYWILFPF, that ensures that you get the newsletters that come out once a month from WILPF International.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking back on who we send the wonderful document that's been created.
Right. I will send it
and
to.
I would like to, excuse me, I'm almost through with my sentence. I would suggest Ray Atchison, of course, is the obvious person that should be aware of this as soon as we send it out, because she's international and she's in the US.
Yeah, and she works with Reaching Critical Will, which works on disarmament from all kinds of weapons, not actually just nuclear weapons, but we know her best for her work on nuclear weapons. In fact, she deals with all kinds of weapons and wars. Yes, so there are 2 or 3 women in the Secretariat who I have their emails, and then the president, Sylvie, we know her email. So those are the kind of people that we will be sending notification that this is a statement we're making, or an advisory. It's foreign policy advice to the incoming Trump administration.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Robin, for suggesting we do that.
Okay, so the next item is short reports on WILPF actions since your last meeting, if we haven't covered it. So anybody want to report anything? Cheryl, you took it down. Okay. Ellen, you suggested we do this. Ellen, go ahead.
Okay. This is related to the armaments. It's not quite there. I wanted to find a way to fit it in because Judith skipped over she felt she had to skip over for time constraints, the treaty issue. But, McGregor was just on the bus. There she is. She can't speak, but she's there, as you said, Diane. I just feel that the Vandenberg, I'm probably saying the name of the headquarters is not correct. Is it Vandenberg? That that's what Gloria had presented, is some way to get behind the treaties. We're talking ICBM, we're talking Vandenberg, we're talking Edie, and I don't see how we put out any of that together behind her work and behind this very important place that is, I guess it's making the nuclear weapons, or it's a place that is shipping out arms to Israel.
No,
I
no,
know-
no, no, no.
That's where it's.
Cheryl, go ahead.
Vandenberg is now called a Space Force base. It's in the middle of the coast of California, south of San Luis Obispo. It is a base where they have a single special missile launching silo where they send off an ICB, a test intercontinental ballistic missile 4 times a year to prove that those very old ICBMs still work. Okay, we have 400 of them sitting in the middle of the country in North Dakota, in Wyoming, in Montana, where they are sitting ducks because the Russians know exactly where they are. And if there ever should be a war, they will be aiming their ICBMs at our silos, and we'll be aiming ours at their silos all over Russia. So this is an Air Force base where 4 times a year there's a test launch. And for some years, we have been trying to bring attention to these test launches and to the fact that the ICBMs are such a dangerous weapon in our triad of nuclear weapons. We have weapons that we can drop from aeroplanes, we have weapons on nuclear submarines that we can shoot off into the air, and then we have these missiles that we would be shooting off from Wyoming and what have you. These are the ones that the president has about half an hour to decide when he's told, oh dear, it looks like Russia is attacking us or North Korea is attacking us with ICBMs. He has half an hour to decide whether he's going to let off our ICBMs towards the enemy. Okay, so this is something that we have a group of people who've been trying to support McGregor. She's getting support from various other organizations in these actions. Some of us have been down to Vandenberg. I went there in June to observe, and we put out messages. We put it on Facebook. We send out tweets about it. And Gloria is trying to help with getting the media attention on these test launches. And the fact that we are trying to bring attention to that they happen to highlight that they are a very dangerous type of nuclear weapon to have. Okay, so that's when we talk about Vandenberg, we're talking about a place in California where they actually have a large silo. They actually truck these missiles across the country in the back of a big lorry, and then they set them up in this silo. One of them, they're 40 or so years old. They want to make sure they still work because they're, and this is what the Sentinel program is, to renovate these, to actually make brand new missiles with brand new nuclear weapons in the tips of these missiles.
We've exceeded 2 minutes.
Yeah. So anyway,
can I just thank you very much? My question, I guess I never get my question. I never say things right, and I apologize. I just wondered if we should concentrate on that a little bit and perhaps build a little more of a comprehensive, coordinated campaign of some kind. I really appreciated Gloria's effort to put some color into it and some T-shirts and some ICBM information. That's all. And I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but I see Edie there about to get on a bus, and apparently she's been in some kind of a protest or activity around the Vandenberg. So I was feeling that we're skipping something. There's something.
It was a Gaza rally,
Gaza rally.
Gaza rally. Yeah. So we have. Yeah. She has got people to help from and World Beyond War and Peace Action in various places. So she's gathered around her quite a lot of people. Diffuse Nuclear War has been very much a help. So yes, every time we see a launch coming, we try to raise up all these people to help. And if you live or even if you don't live around here, you can try to get to Vandenberg at midnight on the assigned day. So, which
Yeah, I'm interested in following it. It sounds like it's one of the most important things in the country we can do. That's a really lie. These ICBMs are what are being threatened right now. It's really right in our face.
Yep.
Okay, Alan.
Yes, well, Arthur Vandenberg was a senator from Michigan, so there is a little Michigan connection here. What I wanted to raise was that in Michigan, we've begun a coalition for Move the Money. Odile is
I am the chair.
Of that. So WILPF is involved in 27 other organizations in the state, with the Michigan Peace Alliance involved. And there are organizations all over the country that one way or another are beginning to look at Move the Money and money out of the Pentagon budget. And so I hope that the committee can have eyes open to wherever any of these discussions going on, that they can be knitted together into a national campaign that has base everywhere and is looking to how do we reshape the economy to, when the money is moved, to what is the right livelihood to place the workers.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Peggy.
well, I was thinking, this is good. I mean, a lot of things are coming together that seem disparate, because I'm seeing that the work that McGregor has been doing for so long, it connects right up with Move the Money that Alan and Odile is leading. And Ellen, thank you for focusing, making me focus on connecting the dots, because the thing that MAPA is calling for and that Bernie is called just for, we really are right at the point of connecting Move the Money, that great guy who does that funny thing that I put on my signature, but and then connect, that's an action online, visual, Gloria, and it connects to long-time established demonstrations that McGregor is right in the middle of sustaining. That's all I can say, is that the dots are all there, and for us to think about linking them up in 2025 and pushing Donald John Trump to make do on his proof that he wants to be a peacemaker. Yeah, move the money.
Right. We have actually,
there's a great saying in the South, and let me do my last thing. You can get anything done if you don't care who gets the credit. And I don't care if Donald John Trump gets the credit for abolition of nuclear weapons.
So we have actually, for some years, Peggy, this committee has been working on all these things, okay? And there are resolutions that your city can pass to say, to tell their congressman, we don't want Congress to spend the money on the nuclear weapons, because we know when those nuclear weapons start flying across the Pacific, it's our cities that are actually going to suffer. Okay, so yes, it is something we've been doing for quite a long time.
I know, that's why I joined WILPF, but I just saw the connections tonight, that they're all these things are really right there to connected. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Okay, if no one wants to say anything else, I guess that our meeting is ended in less than 2 hours.
You all please save the chat, because there are some interesting there's names and addresses in there of people who are looking for volunteers. There are how to register for the December the 10th celebration of the Nobel Peace Prize it's got two names, something Hidankyo, and the next two if you scroll up, you'll see the registration links for the next two Rethink Media, how to do best with getting your local media to talk about nuclear weapons. And you'll see the names: effective interviewing, and then crafting a local op-ed that sparks conversation. So they're very specific, very detailed, these workshops, and they provide PowerPoint, and later they'll send, if you're in it, they'll send you a link to the PowerPoints and what have you. And you'll see there actually this Wednesday and then the following Tuesday, because the Doomsday announcement is the 28th of January. And I'm going to put some money down that it'll be even worse. It's at 100 seconds at the moment to midnight.
Whoa.
Closer to midnight, the worse they think the world is. Closer to Armageddon. What's it called? Armageddon.
Yep.
I have a question. I'd like to invite our new member today, Rita, and welcome you. And what do you make of this group? And I hope you will come back, or what do you think?
I have been taking notes on all the actions and the things that I could get involved in. So I really appreciate this group and what you're doing. It's very interesting. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you. Have you been involved with peace activists before? Pardon the laryngitis.
Oh, that's all right. Yes, for a long time, I was with a peace group, Near West Citizens for Peace and Justice in the Chicago area before I moved to Wisconsin. And I'm right now on the GPAC's committee, the National Peace Action Committee of the Green Party. So I'm involved in several groups.
Wow, thank you. So glad you came. Hope to see you again.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so glad all of you came. So thank you so much for attending. And
Diane, before you cut us off, I just wanted to say something to Margot, Peggy, and Alan. And if you just to make sure that we can get our paper, our statement in the right format to get to Cheryl and the others. So just stay for a moment, just so we make sure it doesn't fall on one person. We can all do it together.
oh, you want to continue with the call? Okay, I'm not in charge of the call.